Okay, the day is here. This is chapter 9, drawing a profile portrait. Now, this immediately sends panic into my brain. And Betty is here to talk us down. I've marked the page. It's not hard. What does Betty say? One subject is not harder or easier to draw. Drawing is always the same task. Every drawing requires basic seeing skills. Okay. And then over here, she says, beginners often think drawing people is the most difficult. It isn't actually. As with any other subject matter, visual information is right there in front of your eyes. Okay. It's right in front of us. One subject is not harder than another. And then we delve into the subject by she goes into some views on object constancy, believing what you see. If you look in a mirror, you think you're looking at something life-size, but if you really just look at it, you see that your mirror image is actually quite smaller. A lot of information. Some things about common errors people make. This she calls the chopped off skull error, where we perceive that the back of the head isn't as important because these are the main and most important features. Good concept. Fully acknowledge that. So then she goes through some drawings where the top of the head is chopped off versus what it's really supposed to look like. And I mean, there's a stark difference there between those two drawings. And now, finally, she acknowledges something quite cool where you can see that Van Gogh actually went through a similar issue by cutting off the back of the head on this gentleman when he was first teaching himself how to draw. So this goes into some information that Van Gogh really only painted for the last 10 years of his life. And as he was teaching himself to draw and sketching from life, obviously he was able to resolve this. But if we start drawing and it looks like this, we should not be surprised. Brilliant. So this is a work titled Carpenter from 1880. And then on the right, we have Old Man Reading. Okay. Then Betty smartly goes into some measurement rules. Measurement rule number 1 is the bottom of the eye to the chin is equal from the eye line to the top of the head. Great rule number 1. Rule number 2 is that from the eye, the corner of the eye, to the back of the ear is equal to the corner of the eye. I have nothing to point with. The corner of the eye to the bottom of the chin. Got it. And measurement 3 rule is the correct placement of the back of the skull, because I think often people have the back of the neck in the wrong place. So she's got it kind of going from the bottom of the nose straight back under the ear to the back of the head. Okay. With those in mind, she heads into a warm-up exercise, which is where I'm picking up. And the warm-up exercise is to recreate this drawing by John Singer Sargent, and it is a portrait of Madame X. I think. Oh no, he has her real name in here. Madame Pierre Gautreau. Oh no, it was titled Madame X. Okay. So I copied that larger, and I might have to resize that, but I can see while still breathing that if we use the tools that Betty has given us, we're going to be able to mark where things go. I don't know how this is going to end up, where we place this on the plane, but we have tools of drawing edges. We can do this. Then thinking ahead, I tried to take a profile portrait of me. I had stuff in the background. So obviously, if I go to recreate this, oops, I'm going to need to, I want to clean it up. I should have taken the photo. I should have taken the photo with a white background, but I didn't. And this is an interesting technique that I'm doing because I could actually do some plastic surgery down here, but I'm going to stay along the line. I want a white background. And why don't I just retake the picture? Well, because I'm sitting here right now in my workout gear and my hair is up and I don't want to take a pic. I don't want to draw myself like that. I want my hair down when I'm practicing. So I'm going to try to make a copy of this and like enlarge it so that I can use the techniques at some point on my own image. All right, I copied this, enlarged it, and when I go to draw myself, I'm going to use this as a reference because I can't draw myself in profile while looking at myself in a mirror. That's just not possible. And I don't know that Betty even suggests that. Also, brilliantly, Betty has the image in the workbook version. And I'm going to go through these step by step with you right now. Copying a master drawing of a profile portrait. Let's do this. All right, so the alignment here in the workbook is the tip of the nose is on this axis and this inside portion of the ear hits right about there. So that's where she has placed it. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to put it off to the side and I'm going to work here. All right, so we're working together. I'm going to go step by step. It said take 20 minutes, so let's try to do that and not be intimidated. And okay, you will find a reproduction of the John Singer Sargent drawing. There is a diagram to indicate sight lines for angles and guides to proportions and negative spaces to aid in seeing contours. Okay. Lay your picture viewfinder directly on top of the Sargent reproduction. Note where the crosshairs fall on the portrait. Check the diagram again. Choose a basic unit. I suggest using the length of the nose from the innermost curve to the outermost. Innermost curve to the outermost. Innermost curve to outermost tip. Innermost curve to outermost tip. Okay. I'm thinking basic unit is like that. That's my basic unit. She's going that Betty, what's the basic unit? We make up our own. Okay, for comparing all other proportions. Make 2 marks, one at the innermost curve and one at the tip of the nose. Am I drawing on the paper? My paper? Am I drawing this on my paper or on that? Let's look together. Innermost curve to outermost tip. Why? Okay. Here. Here. Maybe. The nose length to the forehead is the ratio of 1 to 1.5. If you say so, let's see. What's the length of the forehead? The proportion of the nose length to the forehead is 1 to 1.5. Okay, so let me see. If we do the nose is that nose to the forehead is 1, and then it should go to like 1/2. Okay, that's 1 to 1.5. 1 to 1.5. Got it. Got it. Okay. I see where she's going. Make 2 marks, one at the innermost curve and one at the tip of the nose. Okay. Using your pencil, transfer the 2 marks of your basic unit to the blank format. I suggest using the following sequence. In the upper right quadrant, find the point where the forehead meets the hairline. There. Double check it using your basic unit. Mark that point, use the negative space in front of the forehead to draw the forehead curve. You located the tip of the nose when you marked your basic unit. Okay, so she is going basic unit, is that? But I don't, okay, whatever. Double check the position of the mark against the crosshairs. Draw the shape of the negative space in the front of the nose forehead. Recall the concept of shared edges. Imagine a line touches the tip of the nose and the tip of the chin. Imagine there's a line here. Okay. Lightly draw the sight line on your paper. Mark the tip of the chin on your sight line. Okay. Relative to the crosshairs, find the innermost curve of the chin, neck. Mark that point on your drawing. Well, the innermost curve would be there, but also that's equally innermost. Draw the shape of the head and the hair. That's why we're doing this together. All right, we're in this together. All right, let's draw some marks. Using the grid, let me align where mine is. Okay, using the grid, the tip of the nose. This inside line of the nose is pretty much at the halfway point here. So I can mark that the inside of the nose is there. And then the outside of the nose is not halfway. It's kind of like there. So that's the inside of the nose, the tip of the nose, and then going up this way, Betty has us create 1 to 1.5. So if I mark on my drawing, the length of the nose is like this, which it's smaller than mine. Then the height is 1, 2, 3. It's like 3.5. So if we have that for the length, then the height is going to be 1, 2, 3, and like a half. Okay. So if that's the width, then the height is going to be 1, 2, 3. That came out to 3, and then half of this. Half. And I'm going to make the little mark like there, like 3.5. Okay. And then going this direction, it's not out this far. It's kind of more like here. And that's where the forehead is going to meet the hairline. But it's even closer than that. It's kind of like here. Here. And then the hairline goes like that. Here. I want to get rid of that line. I'm doing this with an ebony pencil, which is really dark. So that's annoying for me later to try to erase. Okay, there's the forehead. This is the tip of the nose. And it immediately comes in. Tip of the nose that way, goes there. Okay, tip of the nose, forehead to hairline, and going in this direction from here, there's an ear, and then the ear goes like here, crosses this point here. All right, so we're using the grid to make these marks. Now back here, the hair kind of goes like that. And then the back of the neck, and then it goes like that way, and then the back of the neck. I guess I'm not supposed to be naming these things, no, right? It goes out in that direction, okay. And then the bun, or however she has her hair up, it's kind of like that. And then there's this fun, right, that way, and then it's kind of fun because there's these light-hearted marks to denote the hair and the wispiness of the hair. Okay, the ear goes there, then the ear's there, and then he's redrawn this several times. So I'm just gonna get the idea of it in here like he has. I love it. And then there's another hairline in here. It's definitely there, and then it's up a little bit. And then to connect this to this, it's relatively close, closer than I've depicted it. So it's like there, and then like that, okay. So now to create this profile, I've got tip of the nose, and we want to find the tip of the chin. So the angle from the tip of the nose to the tip of the chin, I'm going to cite that. The angle is sort of, okay. Ooh, I moved my reference. Okay, the angle is like that. The angle is like that. It's not 45 degrees, it's shallower, so it's like that. So if I draw the angle, I almost want to stand up and look at it. Okay, there, and that is the angle. Angle, got it. And then the chin, the measurement, the inside of the nose, the tip of the nose is 1, and the inside of the nose to the tip of the nose is 1, and then from the nose to the chin is 2. 1, 2-ish. So if that's 1, and I want to go down 2, then I'm going to mark it 1. I'm going to guess. That's how I do it. I do it like a guessy thing. Okay, 1. And then going down this way, 1, 2. So 2 is down here. So the chin actually is here. Okay. And then from here in, it's kind of a, and I'm trying to draw the negative space. It was like the chin from the bottom of it is kind of wavering here, but then it curves in. There's a little bump, and then we're relatively close to this axis. Right, and then it goes, oh, okay. So there's the chin, and the chin's gonna go, okay. Nose to chin. Now, in between we have the mouth, which doesn't have a lot of information. So if I'm drawing the straight line, nose to chin, the mouth is kind of like here-ish. So let's continue with this nose part. Nose, there, right? And then the mouth comes out, and it's there. And if we just think of it in terms of shape, it's like this shape-ish, and then down, and it kind of follows that same angle, and then the chin started. But it did dip in a little bit further, right? Okay. And then the nostril actually starts this, there's a mark here, and the nostril goes underneath this, but slightly, and it's this shape. So I can draw the shape, no problem. Maybe. Yeah, okay. Looking back at the actual drawing, the mouth itself, I can see it's more downturned. So I want this really to be more like a line like that. And then come back out. Okay. And then we need to get to where the eye is. If I cite another angle, this to me is more like 45 degrees. So I kind of feel like from here to the top of the nose, to me, is more like a 45-degree angle. So if I would draw it, it would be more like that. And somewhere in here is this eye, whatever. That is where the forehead meets the let me just eyeball this and see how it goes. Okay, I'm drawing the negative shape to come in. This feels too shallow somehow. This there, and outward there's a little bit, and then the nose comes out a little bit more at a sharp angle at the end. Not that she's got like a bump, but it's there, and then we switch angles and go upward, a bit of a dip here, and then here's where the hairline was. There. So then between here and here, there was an eyebrow. Okay. We have the top of the ear. And let's see how that relates to where the eye is. Okay, the top of the ear, and there's an upper eyelid. So if I have the top of the ear here, and I think this isn't accurate. I think this is further back. I want to say like the top of the ear is here. And then the eyelid is going to be here. And below that is the eye. Am I not supposed to be naming these shapes? Now I've forgotten. There's very little information happening in this tiny space. Okay, I know that there's this eyelid top. And then I know that this entire eye space is what? 2 times. Here we go. 1. Oh, it's like exactly the same size. Okay, so here, this is the exact same height as from here to here. It's like the whole eye and eyebrow. So we're gonna fit this like Nike swoosh shape in here. It aligns with this little hairline bit. So it's good that I marked that in there before. And then Sargent's got a lot of these little vertical lines in here. This definitely almost meets up with here. It does need to be closer to this though, and then that. So maybe I was too, yeah. And then here is the eye. Yeah, I get that. What's wrong is that I think this distance is too far, and this distance is not close enough. And here to the back. All right, so I think I've done a pretty good job of recreating this without naming body parts. But when I listen back to it, I know, okay. Ear, back, ear, Great. That's the bottom of the ear. That is the bottom of the ear. That's right. I'm feeling that. These measurements I'm feeling. This I'm almost good with. That distance is too far. I think this is a great exercise so far. And then in the neck, I can add in clearly where these neck folds are, these marks. Yep, that. And then he's got these marks, which I'm looking at him and it's kind of like, oh, that doesn't help with the space at all, but it does. Okay. I'm feeling the volume in the back here. Okay. So this ear is taking up too much space. If I look at the quadrant, yeah. Oh, I love it. Okay. So here's my comparison. All right, here's my drawing versus John Singer Sargent's. We do not have the likeness because the spacing is wrong here. My measurements are inaccurate. But this was a good exercise. I'm using Betty's techniques. I'm not naming symbols. I'm thinking of it in terms of spaces, shapes, proportions, angles, and good exercise. We did it.